Welcome back to the OPL. You get a look at Seb, Bombers jungler right now. Windows Monkey, their coach, he would be having some pretty stern words, I think, with his team about proactive League of Legends play, because they got decimated in that game. It was just a slow, methodical outclassing of a performance from the reigning champions of Direwolves.
Yeah, outclassing is a perfect way to put it. I think slow, methodical, I guess I was coming into this week expecting something different for the Direwolves, but they are sticking to that mantra. So Praelus filling in as Schönfire was looking to be the way that the Direwolves are actually planning on playing the game. So Schönfire coming in, good performance game one here.
And I mean, it depends kind of what their mindset is, right? If they're like, we got double killed and therefore we lost the game, but we were in a good position versus, hey, we got crushed. Does that change how they're going to come out and try and perform in this next game? Because I really want to focus in on what you think the Bombers' problem are and what they need to do to start having better performances.
I mean, it's really difficult because the Caitlyn Janna lane is susceptible to ganks, and so like once they do get ganked and they do get double killed, they don't get priority for the rest of the lane, and that's a big part of that draft. And then Seb has one option in sleeping, and then they get absolutely nothing done. But I think in terms of that game, it's very frustrating, you mentioned, to play a game like that, where the Direwolves are playing pretty slow, pretty methodical, taking dragons, taking camps, Schönfire gets 100 CS lead, and then you're just inevitably going to lose. But it's also frustrating watching that game. I hate watching teams lose games and then just not try and do anything. Like, they waited till they had about a 13, or maybe not 13, like 10k gold deficit before they actually tried to commit to some sort of team fight. And that's the one thing they potentially could have had if they had an Ori, Jarvan, Riven combo. Like, sure, it's going to be very difficult and you shouldn't be able to land that if Direwolves play it correctly, but if that's your one option, don't leave it that way.
Shots you don't take.
Yeah.
I think Wayne Gretzky actually said that. I was going to say a different person said it. But,
Michael Scott?
Yeah. So the thing for me is that if you're Seb in that game, you kind of jungled a little bit without a purpose. Like, I feel like if you're a Jarvan, you can either hard camp the top lane and force Gangplank's life to be a little bit more miserable. At level 6, like Orianna Jarvan, very famous combo, you can camp out that lane. Or your other option is just shadow your bottom lane. Let them push up. But Seb kind of tried to match pace with Schön, which Jarvan into Shyvana is a lost cause before it has begun.
Yeah, because there was those moments where we were sitting at topside River clearing out vision, and I'm like, look, he's going to go for a gank in the top lane. They're going to try and get Riven a kill. GP had no flash at that time, and I'm like, okay. Well, then he channels his recall in the top bush. I'm like, oh, okay, he's going to go back bot side and clear a few camps. And as you mentioned, like, Shyvana just farms so much quicker. She gets that Devourer, she just eats the jungle, and then you're looking to kind of facilitate a losing lane. Helping a lost cause isn't going to win you the game. Like, if you get a bigger advantage on that Riven lane, potentially that's enough to overcome it. But just kind of plugging the holes in your sinking boat won't get you to shore.
Yeah, exactly right. You need a paddle. You need a paddle quicker, boys. Zoe, Gangplank gets a respect ban, and Taric gone. And so the same bans coming across from the Direwolves is going to be Luch's champions. Actually, no, they banned Ryze last time. This time they banned Azir as well as a Sejuani.
And there's been a few staple picks for the Direwolves this season. We've seen a lot of Malzahar for triple and a lot of Gangplank for chippies. And I'm happy for the Bombers that they do actually respect ban away that Gangplank. They're obviously not keen on first picking it for themselves.
Which is strange, because if you're the carry player, I assume Sleeping can play Gangplank. Lots of carries enjoy playing Gangplank. So that's strange that they banned it away. Maybe Chippies in solo queue has just showed him a counter pick that he's not prepared to play against.
I mean, the Olaf has been the traditional one, right? Chippies has played that year after year now.
He is the best Olaf, nearly. Like, I would say as far as top lane Olafs, no one really plays it. Chippies does.
Chippies does. So he has that one available, so potentially scared of that. But also, I mean, if Sleeping comes out of the game and he's like, look, I played that laning phase as best as I could. And he's like, I couldn't do anything. Then you know what I mean? Like, he's coming in like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, just ban away the Gangplank, get rid of it there. The Malzahar is the other staple. We've seen triple on that many games so far in the 2018 season of the OPL here. Schönfire picks up Kha'Zix.
Yeah, aggressive jungler of choice is going to be Kha'Zix. We've seen Spooks play it this weekend. I believe we've seen one more, but
Praelus played it in week 1. He had a pretty poor performance. But out of Direwolves junglers, we've seen 2 champions. We've seen Shyvana be very successful, and we've seen Kha'Zix be not successful.
And on the flip side of it, Seb says, okay, I'll grab a game of Shyvana, thank you very much. And Shyvana is actually a more nuanced champion than you would expect. And what I mean by that is it looks really easy to just run around and farm camps, but surprisingly squishy levels 1 to 5. And if you get caught by something like a Kha'Zix or even something like a Jarvan, they can potentially 1v1 you. So we'll see whether he is as practiced as at it.
Yeah, and 100% pathing is also something that's not really immediately visible. If you're not very familiar with it, it's very hard to see what Schönfire did that game to actually get himself access to all those camps. And if you mess that up, you just don't get access to the camps. You end up on the wrong side of the map, and a lane dies, and you have to cover. You can just end up so far behind here in this matchup.
And there's a couple of different ways junglers path, and we'll talk about it as the bands come through, Ezreal, Jace. There's some junglers that are field junglers, and they're like, okay, like, I feel like I get to my this side of the jungle at this time, I take the Scuttle Crab, I kind of clear a couple of wards, and then my Raptors are back up.
Yep.
And then there's rote learn junglers that are literally like, 405, this camp respawns,
Yeah.
470, 470, that's not a time, but like, 455, this camp respawns. At this time, if he starts red buff and he's on Jarvan, Jarvan does a buff this quickly. And I feel like Seb to me looks more like a field jungler.
Yep.
Shern is not a field jungler. I have heard Shern talk to Sharp and he's like, Jarvan clears at this speed and I will beat his buff at this time on the dot.
I have a question for you then. Why did we see him playing Shyvana just sitting in a Raptor camp?
Because I think he knew it was going to come up. Yet. But I think he knew it was going to come up and he was just like, this is the next camp I'm going to take.
Okay. That's fair enough. We do see the next few picks coming up. We see our first Jhin, I think, that we have seen this year so far. So pretty interesting coming out of Tiger here.
Yep, certainly is. I mean, and maybe the reason he goes for it is because there's no real apparent tank line as of yet. You have a Malzahar. Rosie's favorite champion is Teemo. It's not going to be a sleeping champion, I do not expect. You have a Melz. So you have the front line right now is kind of Kha'Zix and Bard.
Okay.
All right, so let's talk about lots of things.
Yep.
No front line means that Jin's very effective. Jin's actually a very good champion on this pack. Bard, not good into Braum, in my opinion.
Okay.
Convince me otherwise.
Interesting. I think he is good in isolation, especially with the MF. If you get the push, Braum is just going to take an absolute beating. But it's just so easy to gank. If you ever land a Q, but if he's not next to the wall, which he will play in the bushes because he's a support trying to harass you, he will play on the opposite side to the wall, right? So he's not going to have access to that tunnel. The Cupcake, very good Bard player. Rosie on the other side. These two teams, Bombers and Direwolves, have the big two Bard players in the OPL, so Rosie should know all the tricks of the trade here, but Cupcake has played it many times.
And it's fringe. We've seen it played once in the EU LCS, I believe. So it's not like it's a completely bizarre pick. Into melees, it does really well. The reason I don't like it into Braum is because Door stops both stun and Meep slap damage, which is his trading pattern. So if you get the stun out, Meep slap out, and you flash on him, get one tag, he dies.
Yep. But the big thing is you should be able to bully him around in the 2v2. But the problem, in my eyes, for Bard into Braum is that if you ulti someone, and that's how you catch people like mid-game, you land an ulti. If Braum is there, you don't stun anything. Even if he gets hit by your Tempered Fate, you come through, try to bind him to someone behind, and it just doesn't land. He puts up the shield, blocks it completely, as he was saying. But I mean, if you look at the carries on the side of Bombers here, they have a Rise and they have a Jhin. Very immobile. They also have a Rumble, no dashes. So in terms of landing those Bard ultis, it's very easy into the composition that the Bombers have picked.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. At the same time, however, you have Misfortune that's going to sit in Ultimate versus a Rumble Ultimate. You have, like, what, a Kha'Zix that's going to try and leap in, then can't get out on a Rumble Ultimate. I feel like both of these teams kind of suffer from similar difficulties, and whoever gets ahead will be a very big snowball game.
Yeah, this will be 100% a snowball game. And not to mention, we haven't even talked about the interaction, the curtain call plus the Rumble ulti. Lay down the curtains, open up the curtains and lay down the carpet. That's what that one does. You open it up, start CCing people, and then Jhin breaks Malzahar breaks the passive, rather, so easily. So I think both teams have a lot of tools to work with in this game, and this should be something we look forward to for the Bombers.
And it's always exciting when you get to see like 5 damage threats versus 5 damage threats. I mean, it's
game.
kind of 4 versus 4 because Bard does a lot of damage, whereas you got half a damage threat in Gnar, unless you go something crazy like PD Bloodthirster, in which case he's just the damage threat. And then you got Braum on the other side, but you got a Rumble up in the top lane. One thing I will say that is really overlooked in Rumble lanes is that he pushes at the moment for days. Ever since they changed the way his Q worked, there are very few champions that can shove Rumble into a turret.
Yeah, 100%. And Gnar, probably not one of them, does not have a lot of wave clear to his name. Can throw around a few boomerangs and try get a hyper proc here and there, but won't be able to push him in.
All right, so let's see how it works out. Laura is alongside Windows Monkey, and I'm really interested to see his ideas on this draft.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm standing here with Windows Monkey. The Direwolves have been playing quite a bit of Shyvana, but now Seb has picked it up in the jungle. Is this something you've been practicing and he feels confident on?
Yeah, it's something that we've been practicing. He'll definitely feel confident on it. It's just a champion which isn't necessarily like completely meta, but if you can find a good situation to pick it, then it can be quite strong.
The Direwolves have also picked Bard into Braum. Do you think Braum wins this matchup, and what are your thoughts on it in general?
I'm actually not too sure about the matchup itself, but I know that Braum is just, in general, a really strong pick right now, and once it gets team fighting, things like that, it'll be completely fine.
We've got the full squad on the Rift finally. What's your goals for this team today, but also throughout the split?
I'm really glad to have the full squad on the pitch. It's just really good to have everybody at the studio. In terms of our goals, because of the bans and everything, we're just going to look to, I guess, improve as much as we can as a team and just really be the best that we can. We're not really looking for a placing or anything. Just the goal is just to become the best team that we can.
Well, best of luck with today's games, and thank you for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
It's interesting that he says they're just aiming to be the best team that they can be, because I like that approach. I think that you measure success against yourself as opposed to a ladder positioning. And I think that they have to, with how the start of this season has gone and the fact that they're playing Direwolves in their first real week.
Yep, 100% agree with you there. As these lanes do collide, you have to expect the Bard Misfortune will be able to get the priority in this way. The Bard is actually opted in for the Summon Airy.
The W start. They must have gone for some cheeky shenanigans with Braum as well as Jin level 1. Because otherwise you would generally see the Dancing Grenade.
Yep. Gonna mean no push pressure for Tiger, so absolutely gonna get shoved in. Rosie cues that minion away there, gets that Relic Shield proc, so they do actually get the CS. And he has opted in for the Unsealed Spellbook on the Braum.
So interesting enough there. You can see Tiger just continually sniping out here.
Taking what he can.
And this is a little bit different because we have seen Doran's Ring on Jin, we've seen Boots on Jin, but I cannot remember the last time I saw a longsword Jin.
Yeah, absolutely. Been a while. I think Boots wouldn't fare too well because MF is still going to be able to trade with you. She doesn't really have skill shots that you can avoid, and those are the matchups like against the Thresh or something where you want that extra move speed.
But you get a 4th potion.
Yeah.
So I feel like against an MF Bard, 4th potion quite helpful as far as sustain goes.
But I mean, as Chippy's is looking for something, just going to be a chunk, procs that Airy, but in terms of how these two lane against each other, the all-in threat from the Braum and the Jin is very real. Okay. Bard is very squishy, and so is MF. If you ever land that Winter's Bite, you can proc the passive, they can look for a kill, so I think opting in for a real defensive boot start is probably the wrong way to go. Okay. And I do like the longsword here.
Cool. So obviously, Ejim made a career out of killing people at level 2 in the OPL.
And then Rogue ended that career. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
He's just giving him credit for ending a career. That's a feather in the cap of Rogue.
I mean, it's not entirely true. It didn't really work out that way, but I mean,
you can't.
He definitely killed
take
me.
it back. I'm just flipping that part.
I mean, yeah, I really shouldn't have said that one. Sorry, sorry me. I guess bad luck.
Sorry me.
Sorry me. Bad luck.
That's a bummer right there. Yeah. Apologising to himself on camera. What's next for the crazy telecaster of the OPL?
Stun lands. Shield doesn't come out, so Rosie takes the full brunt of that trade.
You can see that right now they're just getting shoved in range versus melee, and Tiger's burning through those potions. Probably wishes to get a 4th right now.
Okay. I'm interested, as we're focusing on the bot lane, to see what Bard builds. Does he go for the Super Soaker build with that GLP? Goes for the Frost Queens. He doesn't have the Glacial Augment, so I assume not. I assume he's going to go for a more standard build, Redemption into Locket, things like that.
You said the only fun way to play Bard at the moment is to go the Super Soaker build.
Maybe Bard is a fun champion.
Flash forward here. They
Nice
will
flash.
be able to get the flash out of King, so next time that happens, it's going to be a little bit easier to execute upon.
Well played by both sides there. They land the CC onto King, but
okay. Yeah, good damage coming out of Seb onto Cupcake. Will chunk him, however, picks up a mug of hot cocoa.
So he's going to be fine. I think it's a pretty good skin choice out of Cupcake there, the Snow Day Bard.
You like it?
Yeah, when he goes through the turret, it's a good. Yahoo!
Does he really?
Yep. Let's see if we catch it, because he's got the penguins. The little penguins following him around. I think, I don't know if Bard makes the noise or the Meeps make the noise. I'm actually not sure.
Well, you can get rid of all your Meeps, right?
Yeah.
By slapping things, so then you could do a test, right? Where you slap,
well, you slap away all your Meeps and then you go through a tunnel. Yep. All right, I mean, let's see if Cupcake can do the test for us. I'm assuming not.
Nah, he's a good guy, obviously. Has no information that that's what we want him to do. I have faith.
Yeah, put us in contact. Come on, come on, League Ops. Let's chuck us in there. But no, this lane just pushing in so far. Been fairly standard. The other lanes as well. Luch has base, got himself a tier. Just farming that up. Triple trying to push him in right now. Schoenfire got a bit of vision around the bot side. Bombers are aware of where he is. There is that water around the blue side, so they do.
And he's actually farming quicker than what the Shyvana is right now. He's going to be a couple of camps up right now.
Yep. And you have to think that is down to the invade he tried to do to get away this Gromp. The Cupcake stayed off.
Yep.
He did place that ward and then he spotted him out, so Schoenfire was able to pick up a few camps when Seb was not.
And you can see that the Bard is absolutely everywhere. Zooming around, picking up Meeps, dropping wards. Generally kicking ass and taking names.
And I mean, the Bard playstyle is a pretty interesting discussion to have on 8.2 because he's one of the champions that you want to get Mobies on and you just want to run mid, you want to go up the wall. You can get that deep vision in. But if you're not in lane and you're not proccing the stealthy, you
Ooh,
don't get
Sleepy's
access.
on the wrong side of the map. Gets flash ultimated by Chippies. And the stun comes out perfectly timed. Sleeping is just going to fall down here. And Chippies 1v1 dominates the European import.
How did he get into that situation? He's so close to Chippies' turret here. Ultis him into the wall, picks up the 1v1. Burns the stopwatch as well.
Chippies is just flexing right now on Sleeping. Takes what is a difficult matchup at best of times. I mean, it's a matchup that Sleeping wanted, obviously.
Yep.
And is just, he's making it look easy today.
100%. There we go. You heard the Yahoo!
Yep.
As he goes down that one, did have a meep available, so thank you, Observer, for catching that one. Hell yeah. But as we see, yeah, he goes in bases, and he doesn't opt in for the Ninja Tabby, which is surprising. I think he would start building towards that. Goes for the blasting one and the Ruby, so a little bit of extra health. Yeah, he wants to. I don't know if he's going to be able to now that he's already died solo 1v1, has no stopwatch, but...
Has no ultimate, has no gank set up. They have no CC between them and the jungle top lane matchup, but you can just see that Chippies is being annoying. He's got a Hex Drinker. Shyvana does a surprising amount of magic damage as well, so double dipping all over the map. And, yeah, I don't... It's just not working for the Bombers.
Yep.
They finally have an early game where they're kind of even, they're up in CS in a couple of lanes, and then once again, it just doesn't work for whatever reason.
And that's why it's so frustrating here. The Cupcake was running around the bot side jungle, going to get the stun onto Rosie. Cheeky little trade in the old 1v2.
Actually,
off the turret.
The Swifty boot start coming out of King. He's going to be zooming, as you like to say.
Yeah, 100%. Does, I mean, they have a fair amount of slows on their team for later in the game. You have the Rumble ult. You have that, the Swifties, that slow resist to get off that one ASAP. Sejuani and Braum, of course, as well, will allow him to dodge a lot of the skill shots, which is how Braum and Jhin.
Frozen Mallet going to be coming out as well, you'd have to assume, so very good at outrunning that damage.
Smart pickup there, I guess, with the long swords as well. Yep. On the other side, you do have the lethality item picked up by the Jhin.
And actually see some cheese coming bottom lane, potentially. They're sitting in a brush, 3 members heading top. Are they going to get impatient on this one? You can see Bard left. The flash is up and available for Rosie. They don't comes back into lane.
There's not really much vision on either side of the map for either team. It's basically around the river, very shallow. Cupcake's going to walk in, potentially find a pink.
Yeah, was looking for that ulti there, potentially, to just be able to throw it out onto Luke. You can see how much kill threat they feel like they have. And King is just 1v2ing this lane, stepping up to minions, not really caring all that much.
Here we go.
In comes Shyvana, flash is there. They go through the wall, however, they stop Cupcake.
Can they get it?
They will get one. The second and third shots do not even come out.
CC lands just in time to stop Cupcake whilst he still has flash going through that portal. So he saves his 80 carry, but unfortunately he goes down. Nice gank.
Ooh, this is actually a real greedy invade coming in from Shern. We'll look for it, get level 7, and we'll get the heck out. But potentially that is one of the... Actually dives back in. There's no creeps left available with Red Buff. He's looking for the 1v1. Flashes forward, gets the kill.
You said greedy invade, but he just wins the 1v1. Already had the big raptor dead. Seb, no access to the ultimate, just wore off. Falls down, 1v1 to Shern.
Yeah, and I mean, Seb had flash, didn't flash towards the lane. Thought that he was just going to be able to walk it out. Then had to flash into no man's land. I thought Luch being there, being able to go over the wall, would be able to help out. I thought collapse out of bottom lane because the support was dead, but none of those things come to fruition. And
hit up 1v1.
Just dunks him.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned Chippies.
Red
styling
Smite
on
as
Sleeping.
well.
Red Smite Karzik styling on the Shyvana right now as Luch TP's back to lane. And I think the big thing to note right now for this Bard pick is that they've just had complete control of the bot side, but they haven't got any kills, right? They've been ganked multiple times. Now he's fallen down, but every single wave they push in and then he floats up the river. That means Triple is getting control. That means Shernfire can go for that invade. And then Chippies with this solo kill on the top side of the map, he's completely fine in this 1v1.
Yeah, Chippies is on an island, but it's not one of those like deserted islands like in Pirates of the Caribbean. As Shern's coming in again, Sleeping, gets forced off his turret. Might have to drop the equalizer, honestly. However, now Luch runs in very quickly, gets the snare. Equalizer goes across, and that will be the flash out of Triple.
Luch has flash. Silence.
No follow-up will be there, and that is Tiger having to burn the stopwatch. Nicely used there.
Also just been a stun against the wall as Cupcake still has access to that ultimate there.
And this is Shern again with Luch. That's a QSS burnt already. However, Seb can go into Dragon Form, decides not to, actually just uses it to book it.
He hooks it. That's absolutely what happened. didn't want a part of that. Luch going to fall down.
Ooh, that's the
laning.
ultimate coming out. That's 1 shot, 2 shot. 3 shot.
Wide.
He's shooting it. No, he's shooting it at a great wave.
Yep. And something we haven't even mentioned as well. It didn't get used right there. Cupcake chose not to cast his ultimate on the Jhin. Every time he sets up for that curtain call, you can just fling a Bard ulti. He's stuck there, channeling the ability. You can cancel that one. He can get about 1 to 2 shots off, depending on how quick you are. But Bard very good at shutting down those plays from the Jhin, from very far away. Schönfire is looking to solo out that Rift Herald.
And this is what worries everyone when they look at the direwolves. OPL teams everywhere, I'm sure, would be looking at this game and saying, Game 1, pushing bottom lane, they gank it, they kill it, they take the turret. Game 2, 1 solo kill chippies. Now all of a sudden everyone's floating up to that side of the map. They're completely controlling the jungle. They take control of that as well. Seb, no ultimate, still looking for this gank bottom lane. See whether they go for it. Instead they go back towards the wall. Misses Rosie, however, ultimate is going to be there. Stops him from going through. Does this procs go? Ooh. It does, but he still gets through that, and the cancel of the TP will happen.
Yep. And this is a very hard gank to pull off if you're Rosie without flash. We've seen 2 of them already where he's flash queued onto King. The second one did result in a kill, but right there, it's very hard to get on top of them. He can't proc his own passive very quickly there as Bard's looking for something, has the ulti.
Yeah, certainly is. Throws it
no
out.
Flash.
No flash, as you mentioned, and Luke just gets stunned up. QSS again, but it's just not going to mean anything. Cupcake gets himself a kill. Well-deserved one at that.
And Dials are just so quick.
Seb, don't do it. Oh, Shern's looking for him.
Dials are so quick to float their pressure elsewhere. They get in the bot side. They do fall down there. Get out of the gank. They burn the flash from King. And the Cupcake's like, look, okay, we've been pushed in. Not going to do anything.
Ulti over the wall. Equalizer is there. Triple will fall incredibly low. No flash. Flash forward from Sleeping.
Really wants the kill there. No flash on Triple means he was going to go down anyway to Seb, but Sleeping says, no thank you, that one's mine. I want my Leandries.
Look at me. I am the carry now.
Yeah. Can he dodge?
That's going to be the ulti coming out of Tiger. All of them hit. They line up for it.
Yeah, Cupcake blocked there. Schönfire is around though, so if Rosie keeps stepping up, no. Just places a ward over the wall and goes back to the lane.
Yeah, ultimate, sorry, not ultimate. TP is available for Sleeping. So I feel like Direwolves make the right call here. They just back away.
Yeah, they don't have the equalizer available, but they are very low. King has actually opted to stay. Might just E-ulti the wave as Cupcake's going to come back. Triple TPing back mid, but this bot lane for the Direwolves, I mean, they're not winning the lane very hard.
They're the best graceful losers again.
Yep, 100% here. Just want to clear out that wave on the side of MF, but yeah, every time. They even just got ganked, as I was saying, and then Cupcake immediately goes mid and they get a kill in response. Chippy's looking for Luch again. Still has no flash.
And look at this. They just come from both sides of mid. This is how you take mid lane turret. Flash forward, knocks him back. That's the ultimate. Has to burn the QSS, and now the turnaround damage is there. Chippy's goes very low. Triple is taking the turret and will fall down. Actually burns a stopwatch, and they're looking to get him out, but they cannot.
Burns the stopwatch, but he's going to go down anyway. Tiger's looking for something. Does not have access to the ultimate there. Not going to get a whole lot more. Equalizer coming up fairly soon, but there's not much of a wave in the mid lane.
And this is arguably the best early game that the Bombers have had so far. Looking pretty close right now. Will be able to pick themselves up a Dragon if they go towards it. You can see Rosie kind of asking where the rest of his team is. Trying to get that one for Seb.
The whole Braum solo Dragon strategy isn't a good one. But he brings the rest of his team. Seb's going to pick that one up. Cheeky few resists for him. Scaling forwards, but unfortunately for the Bombers, it's only an Air Drake.
I mean, they run quicker.
They do.
Air Drakes are like a GP10 in my head. They're the old school Heart of Gold.
Yep.
As in, you can get to mid-side waves, clear out waves a little bit quicker.
Yeah, that's an optimistic description. I feel like
you don't get to hover over it and see how much gold you've earned, which was the best part of Heart of Gold.
Yeah, I agree. I used to play brand mid with, was it Kags or Kargi's?
Karge's pick.
Okay, Karge's pick, and then you go the Philosopher's Stone and Heart of Gold. I just got GP10 brand.
TP coming in. Yep. They're going to knock him over the wall. That's actually the support. As far as TP ganks goes, that was... Actually, they channeled Sleepings as well.
Cupcake has had so much value in that wall right there.
Yeah.
Every time they get ganked, they just walk towards the wall, they tunnel up there back to the safety of the turret, and Bombers don't want to follow through there.
So does that mean that he's a better red side pick then, Bard?
I mean, potentially. You can go from lane into the tri-bush, but obviously that's not to the safety of your turret, so it's not quite the same. It's not quite as good on blue side.
Herald about to get a second charge off here.
We'll do a little bit of damage, but Luch just going to clear that one out. Shern's behind Rosie.
Rosie in a little bit of trouble here, however, misses that. Ultimate coming across, and Shern dodges everything. Happy feet. from the jungler of the Direwolves, and now with priority over this bottom lane turret, will look to take it down.
They do have TP advantage on Chippies as well in the top lane. He's built that Mega. He's about to pop. Do they look for something? No. They don't have much of a wave here, so the Direwolves are just looking like they're going to back off.
Yeah, good patient play out of the Direwolves. Not forcing too hard. They get one wave versus worth of chip damage and say, all right, that's enough. Let's go back towards our standard lane.
Seems to be the Direwolves mantra. Win something, take something, then walk away and reset. Very slow, very methodical. Sleeping, getting a bit of vision for himself. He's just getting permanently shoved in by Chippies, who's got himself about a 15 CS lead in the top lane right now.
There is a ward on the red buff right now, which saw the Shyvana rotate back top side. Probably could have assumed it anyway because all the camps are down bottom side jungle. Potentially is a way for Chippies to get into that bottom lane.
Triple's also walking down there.
That one right
He's
there.
on top of a ward right now though, so they will spot him out. Bombers know that he's coming.
And Direwolves know exactly where Shyvana is. They pinged that out as well, so not deciding to go for the risky play. I respect the patience that is coming out of the Direwolves.
Okay, now it's Schoenfire's turn. They did ping that out, so they saw him coming through.
Does he drop a ward in the middle of the lane? If he does, that will be the signal to go. Actually, he doesn't, but the stun is still there. And you can see Schön. He had to physically restrain himself. He was nearly flying into that lane solo.
Yeah, but they didn't have vision of Luch, and he does have the Realm Warp available. Would have brought himself and Seb to this play. Would have been a 4v4 under the turret. You have to assume that would favor the Bombers here, but they're just going to lose the turret for free, basically. Direwolves just back off again.
Yep, Direwolves, they're just reserved.
Yep.
And this is almost more intimidating than a team just smashing you.
Yep.
Because they're just giving you no opportunity to get back into the game.
Doesn't even look like Bombers have to fight them for anything. Realm Warp coming through.
Oh, that's going to be the stun, and that's going to be the curtain call. You see the ultimate coming across, but that means that they're going to start up the fight. Luch goes forward, not able to get anything there, and that's going to be a cancelled TP.
That's the Korean TP coming out of Chippies there. Spent a lot of time over in solo queue. The TP to make them back off and then cancel immediately. Mininar had no business actually committing to that one, so at no point was he actually going to.
And you can see the ebb and flow of League of Legends. As soon as that happens, they know they've overcommitted bottom side. Triple just ducks into Fog of War top side. Sleeping has to farm underneath his turret, and they get a little bit more chip damage.
Yeah, Triple walking towards the top side, just alleviating a little bit of the pressure. Chippy shoves that wave in. Sleeping respecting it, though. Doesn't fall down to a dive.
So the 3 turrets are the lead right now.
Yep.
Because kills, sure, they're in favor of the Direwolves, but CS, you know, for Seb as well as Tiger probably equalize the CS discrepancy. So that all of that gold lead is just from the turrets going in.
Pretty much. As we see Cupcake solo defending this turret. Luch doesn't want a piece of the Bard right now.
Of course not. Bard's an intimidating dude. He hits harder than any support apart from maybe Brand and Zyra, who aren't really supports. They're just mages that hang out in the bottom lane.
What's that, man? She's an 80 carry that pretends to be a support.
Yeah, she has no business being in my lane at the
She
moment.
is. Your lane. Oh, that's big. Bombers are looking for something. We have seen this strategy from them before when Rosie was on the Alistar and he unfortunately missed the flash headbutt combo, but they don't look for anything onto King. And King's a very respectful AD carry, actually.
Yeah.
This has been multiple times where he's been solo clearing out a lane and they don't have vision. And he's like, okay, there's a chance they could be here, so I'm not going to go anywhere around. A lot of players would walk up and be like, hey, are they in this bush? And then fling the make it rain in the bush. But then that means you're close enough for a Braum flash Q.
Yep, exactly.
He doesn't. Doesn't even try to check.
You can see Sleeping again. Just takes so much damage under the turret. In fact, Chippies might look for a dive here. It's just over and over again. Chippies is eking out advantages.
And I mean, if this keeps happening, Chippies can whittle down Sleeping. Bard can travel through the jungle and bring his teammates so quickly. They can push in the mid lane and then be within bot and hitting that turret in about 5 seconds.
Well, even more than that. He doesn't even have to get there. If Chippies is winning the 1v1 that hard, Bard just throws an ulti at the turret and says, there you go, mate. A couple of seconds to wail on him without a turret there. As Seb runs into Schön. Schön will get tagged there, and they can potentially go, that's a Realm Warp coming out from the Rise, and they just all run away. To be honest, that's the ultimate out from Triple. That's the ulti out of Rosie as well.
Oh, Luchas.
Where is everyone going? This is such a messy team fight. Ulti coming through from King, and that will be Schön picking up a kill. Rosie died somewhere at the same time.
Oh.
And Seb, flash forward from Chippies. Not able to pick up the kill just yet. That's going to be Gnar backwards for Tiger, and King runs underneath the turret, but falls down. Gets a kill in response.
And Sleeping stuck behind the Direwolves right now. He's trying to pick up Schön.
Will not get him. And Schön just going to play the do-si-do game, running through the jungle. Knows he's on top of a ward. Chippy just hops into the wall.
Unfortunately for the Bombers, 1 by 1, they just get picked off. First Seb, sleeping. That was a blind flush over the wall.
That is a tilted play. This is a man that is, what's the saying? Mental boom?
Mental boom. I mean, he just wanted the highlight reel. You know, Chippy started on him last game in the counter matchup. It was blind, he had no vision. We see this start off again.
Talk me through this.
Schönfire finds himself stuck between Seb, but nobody hits this blast plant. So the entire time, Direwolves are kind of caught out here for a little bit. Luch TP's in the back, but they have this blast plant, so at any point, the Direwolves can just back off like you see there. Then Rosie steps too far up. Luch is caught in a 1v2. Rosie's caught in a 1v2. Everybody's just dying, and then 1 by 1, you see, I think Tiger goes down very briefly here. Seb almost dies to Chippies, but then Tiger gets in a spot of bother. King comes through with a cleanup as well. Just 1 by 1. All of the Bombers fell down and sleeping at the end as well, despite picking up a kill on the back end of that. Just doesn't mean much when it's a 4-for-1. It hurts.
There was a phrase dubbed in Europe, which I think describes that team fight. Clown Fiesta.
Yep.
That was an absolute fiesta from the Bombers.
Yep.
They had teleport advantage. They had chokes in which their team wants to fight in.
Yeah.
And they had zero control over the team fight in its entirety.
I mean, that's something we haven't touched on, right? You have Braum ulti, Rumble ulti.
Tiger's ulti.
Yes.
Everything
you have
that you wanna
Shyvana that
fight.
bunches people up in a choke. Yeah. Ryze, AoE. You can spread from the one person at the front. Even if you're hitting the front line as Ryze, you can touch the back line if they are close enough. So, such a good choke.
And they had the potential to get 5 people there.
Yep.
They just didn't do it, wasn't coordinated. And Triple now looking for Luch potentially.
Yep. But now that will be TP advantage for Chippies right now in this 1v1 in the side lane. Sleeping doesn't have that one available. Chippies pushing in the bot lane.
And without doing really much of anything, to be honest, now Direwolves are up 6,000 gold and have complete control of the game again.
Only one QSS has been bought on the side of the Bombers, and that's onto Luch. Tiger probably feels a little bit too far behind to be able to invest in that stuff. Does have the Braum shield to eliminate some of the damage. They're looking for a play.
Yeah, they just open up here. Luch comes in. They go into the choke point. Ulti comes across from Seb, but the Rumble isn't there. That will be Rosie getting barred ultimated. Seb's in there as well, and they continue the fight. Chippy's teleports in. Bullet time is huge. Double silence coming out. And before Sleeping can even arrive at the team fight, it's over. Direwolves have wiped them. That is going to be the 3-for-0 trade.
Oh, Chippies
goes in, flings him back, make it a 4-for-0, and Direwolves will just break the base.
And that's round 2 of the 4-for-1 trade for the Direwolves here. They're going to steam in 4v1. Nothing Rosie can do as the solo Braum. I mean, he's got a big door, but I mean, they're just going to smash right through it. That's a nice team fight out of the Direwolves. That's something pretty specific to Bard there, where you get engaged on in the mid lane. You can just go straight to the side. You can go perpendicular out of that one through the wall. So they get themselves out of the curtain call, and that was the big thing right there. As soon as they're in this choke point here, Rosie looking to knock a few people up, but this just stalls the fight out a lot for the Direwolves to get them all in.
Yep.
They can reset this choke point. Multiple silences coming out of Triple onto the members of the Bombers. That's 2. Ryze just has no ability to actually deal damage in this fight. Is rooting people here and there, but on the back end of this, Chippy picks up another kill. Double dash over the minions there. Sleeping, no flash. He's dead.
And Sleeping, that equalizer. 4-man Braum ultimate. Equalizer is there at the same time. They just lay it out and they set it up. They did manage to take the inhibitor off the back end of this one, but I just think that when they had the numbers advantage, they don't decide to pull the trigger. When they know that Direwolves have the TP advantage, they do decide to pull the trigger. They don't look on the same page.
100%. If they're looking for something, they've got the vision control currently. Luch is onto Triple, but the root will fizzle on that passive.
Yeah, actually threw both spells too quickly. He should have been able to get the root there.
Yep.
He would have broken the shield if he holds the W for a second longer.
And I mean, Ghost is available for Triple, but with Seb coming in from the side, potentially flying over the Baron Pit, that could have been a kill. That could have been a bit of time bought for the Bombers here, but 5-13, 10,000 gold lead for Direwolves right now. They're looking for more.
And this is the annoying part of playing against Karzik. Right there, just dives forward. Rosie throws out the ultimate. There's no way he can do it. I was going to say, Karzik can just stealth through your whole jungle and start taking whatever he wants because he's so strong at this stage of the game. And they start up the Baron. This is potentially a way back in. You still have Ryze and Rumble against a team that is doing Baron, but they don't have the confidence to check it. They will not go anywhere near it, and the Baron will fall for the Direwolves.
They're just so far behind, goal-wise and vision-wise. They have no control around the Baron Pit. Sleeping has TP in the bot lane, and you'd think around the Baron Pit, you have that AoE from Shiv, you have that have that equalizer from the Rumble of potential, but they just couldn't get in. Direwolves, I guess they do have that Tempered Fate, so if they ever walk through that blue side ramp, multiple man stasis out of Cupcake could come through, layering over the MF ulti. Very daunting prospect to actually face check that Baron, and they don't. But the question is, can they hold the base? Mid is already broken, but can they hold the side lanes?
Yeah, exactly right. How do they do it? Do they look for a team fight? Do they finally throw caution to the wind and say, we refuse to go down without having at least one fight on our terms? You can see 2 members of the Direwolves bottom lane. Rest of the team in the top side, they respectively back away. That was a huge creep wave, but they just say, no, wait for Chippies to push in that lane.
Yep.
And we will just continue to play our slow, methodical, grinding game of League of Legends.
King pulling this one really far back right now. And you mentioned that one team fight. If you look at the engage potential coming out of the Bombers, there's almost nothing. Realm Warp is largely, is actually looking for something on the triple.
Exactly right, so we'll see whether they can pick anyone up. They go on triple and they will be able to break the shield. You can see this is all the members here, however, Rosie's been left by himself on the back end of the team fight. They come across, there is a choke there, however, now Seb just has to run away. That spreads some Malefic Visions. Luch is going to go down. This is the best Malefic Visions ever. It's on a third member. Rosie is just getting slow from it.
Oh.
Nah, not a fourth, but he still will fall down. And with Super Creeps, with Baron buff, Direwolves run into the base. That is a very quick MF. Actually, will look for the kill. Tiger has to flash.
And they look for the hard commit onto triple, but unfortunately for the Bombers, both summoners were available. That's Tempered Fate onto Tiger.
And they just can do nothing. The Direwolves, the first week back with Shern, put the entirety of the OPL on notice. They take the 2-0 and they say, we are still kings.
They take the 2-0 in what seems like the easiest fashion, the easiest 2 games for them ever. King looking pretty non-phased by that victory there. So does Triple.
I mean,
business as usual.
Shern's stretching. Maybe a hard day at gym. He's like just trying to get the biceps working again.
Chippies looked happy. He looked happy with the victory. Got a few style points on sleeping.
Chippies would be happy after games like that.
100%.
Chippies is a lane kingdom player.
Yep.
And I think 2 games in a row, he got to show just how dominant he is in an isolated 1v1.
Yep. And I mean, isolated 1v1 in bad matchups that Sleeping chose. The Rumble into the Gnar and the Riven into the Gangplank. Obviously, 2 unfavorable matchups for him. Wins both times. And you have to think about the Bombers here. It's looking pretty rough. This was their first week with the full roster. Mind you, very difficult to go against the Direwolves.
Oh, completely. But I have more questions after I saw them with the whole roster than I did last week when I saw them with 2 substitutes.
Because the same problems still seem to plague them. There's just a distinct lack of proactivity. Nobody's making calls. Nobody's doing a whole lot of anything. The bot lane is very defensive. And they just slowly lose.
Sometimes your biggest strength can be your biggest weakness. Maybe Tiger is a very good positional late game AD carry, but you know, when people like Deft were late game AD carries, Reckless were late game AD carries, they would win the games that got to 6 items, but it takes you so damn long to get there.
Yep.
And unless you play it flawlessly, you're never going to get there equal because you're not making the proactive plays. So potentially Tiger, who looks to be a very good positional AD carry, they're just banking on it too much and they can't get to that stage of the game.
Yeah, they've just got nothing left, and I mean, they just can't. They're not getting there. This is multiple games where they feel like they're at 10k gold deficits when they actually get to these team fights. They're not fighting on fair footing. Yep. You mentioned that last fight. Like, do they look for a big 5v5 engage? It seemed like the only option. They tried to get onto triple, but couldn't get anything.
And I mean, by that stage, you saw what one Malefic Vision plus boomerangs were doing. Just the bouncers were chasing them down. And I mean, Direwolves would come out of that and say, you know, we're very happy with our performance. That's a solid win. But I also think that lots of other teams would now be questioning the strength of the Bombers lineup. I'm still, like, you know, they played the Direwolves. They have a chance to turn it around in the coming weeks. But it's just puzzling to be, like, perfectly frank.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, because you do give them the benefit of the doubt with 2 substitutes coming in for week 1 and 2, right? You're like, okay, like, they don't look good. The members of the roster that have retained, that aren't banned, that are left over from 2017, they don't necessarily look that good. But coming into week 3, you're like, okay, full roster, they have Sleeping, they have Luch. Can they actually step up? And I think the answer was no, to be honest. These games followed a similar trajectory that their previous ones did, mind you, against much harder opponents, but just not good enough, I think.
Yeah, exactly right. They weren't able to step up in laning phase. At the same time, when you have a look at the Direwolves, they've brought in 2 new players. They've played some quality outfits. They've played the Chiefs. They've now played full-strength Bombers, and they've just been able to slowly put every team to the grind and win out. And we're going to actually hear from one of the Direwolves members right now, sitting alongside with Laura as well as Rogue.
Thanks, guys. Yes, we are here with Chippies. Congratulations on picking up another win. How's the team feeling, and what did you think of your performance today?
I think I played pretty good actually, but it's really good to have Shern back. He's just like this motivating energy, you know. But Pralis was really good, but he was like just silently out jungling everyone. But Shen's like, he'll let you know.
Shen, he's no Ugandan knuckles. He did not know the way. So yeah, what were you expecting from that game? Because they picked the Rumble. That's not a champion that's played very often. How did you go up against that? Expecting that or?
Yeah, I've been visiting like a year, so I was just like wondering if he had a strategy in mind. But I expected him to be like super good at Rumble, but he's just like he's decent at Rumble, but I came out on top in the end.
You know, on the subject of sleeping, you know, he played like the Riv in the first game, and then he's got a lot of these pocket picks that an import player would have. So what are your thoughts on him, and especially Mimic as well, the new import top laners?
I actually think Mimic's really good. I can't wait to vis him, but sleeping, he's good at what he does. So he's like really good at carry champs like Camille, Fiora, stuff like that. But I've actually never seen him pick a tank or like any champ like that. So when the meta changes, I'm a bit worried for him, but at the moment he'll do pretty well.
Is it exciting for you having all of these new top laners come into the scene? Because many regard you as the best top laner in Oceania, but does it push you to strive to be the best top laner?
Yeah, last year it sort of just felt like me and Swiper versus the world, you know, but now we've got like Mimic sleeping, we've got people like pushing us every day. So it's not just like a one-on-one, it's sort of like all these new guys in the mix.
Yeah. I want to kind of go back and ask you about Schönfire. Adrian was saying that he's kind of like a lifestyle for the Direwolves. What does he bring to the team, and what's he like outside of the game?
Outside of the game, he's actually just a really funny dude, but when you get into the game, he's just like, you just feel his presence, you know? You just know when you're sitting next to him. You have a very high chance of winning the game.
Only one more question from me. Meow meow my cat. Nope, that's my cat drawings. So it's Korean boot camp. You guys went. Don't mind me, guys. So yeah, you guys went on the Korean boot camp way before any other teams, and you got a really good head start from it. So like, how much do you attribute that to you guys going off starting practice so early?
It's more like after Worlds, we're just so disappointed in ourselves. We had to do something, so we sort of gave up our break to go to Korea. I feel like me, Calvin, and Shane benefited so much for like the extra months, and then we felt good enough to like raise the new players, you know, Cupcake, Steven. We like guided them, and now they're like probably best in their role, if not top 2.
Now they know the way.
Yes.
Rogue! Next week, you guys are going up against Order, probably the toughest opponents you guys have gone up against yet. What are your thoughts heading into that series, and what preparation will you be doing for that match?
We'll probably prepare more than like the last 3 weeks, but I feel like they're versus pretty noob teams at the moment. so I actually don't know how good they are, but pretty confident we'll beat them too.
There's been...
Oh, yeah.
Gotta have confidence. If you're confident, then people believe you. Direwolves have got some great fans watching at home that I'm sure have been supporting you and cheering you today. Do you have any words you'd like to say to them?
Shout out to the founders, the ones that are in the Discord, like waiting for us to come home, and all the fans that aren't in there yet. You're pretty lit as well.
Well, congratulations once again on the win, Chippies. And
Cheers.
also a big thank you to Rogue for coming on the couch today. It's been a pleasure having you and all of your cat banter. But to close this day out, we're going to hand it back over to Jake and Bryce.
Thanks so much, Laura. Always good to hear from Chippies. Chippies is one of those players that has grown so much since he entered the OPL. I mean, good to hear how confident he is in his team. And I like the way that the Direwolves, I mean, we always say it, but they just have each other's back. You heard from him. He's confident that every single person in their team is the best,
top 2 minimum.
if not top 2 in their role. That is a statement to the rest of the league.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention calling a bunch of the OPL teams noob teams. I think that's also a statement in itself.
Yep. I'm
Big
more
words
of
out
a
of the man.
glass half full, Bryce glass half empty kind of interview
I didn't
guy.
say it. Chippy said it.
Yep. But at the same time, I mean, you got to respect it, and it just echoes everything we feel about this team. Schön, the presence that he has, the ability he has to command a game. He just said, when he sits next to you, you know that your chances to win the game just goes up. Like, you feel it. And, I mean, I think that is what we saw today.
I mean, not to mention versus, comparing that to Pralis as well, he said he did the same sort of thing, silently out-jungling everyone, but when Schönfire does it, you know about it. So it's a big difference coming in for the Direwolves, and that it showed off today.
Yeah, it certainly did. So let's bring up the week's results. This week was all blue side 2-0s. Chiefs, Order, Avant, and Direwolves were able to take down Tectonic Sin, Legacy, and Bombers, respectively. Maybe the big upset there was the Avant
100%.
Gaming 2-0 onto what was an informed Legacy. That means the ladder now stands with Order on top. But next week, they will play the Direwolves, who have won all their games, just dropped one singular map. Chiefs and Avant round out the top 4. Legacy squeezing into that final playoff spot. And then there are still 3 teams.
With 0 points.
With no games, no maps, and eventually we'll have to win one because they'll play each other.
Yep.
However, that will be in the coming week, and we'll bring that up onto your screen now. Next week's game. No, we won't. We'll bring us back up onto the screen.
Where you going?
I mean, did you expect Order to come out in 3-0? I mean, given the strength of schedule, yes, probably.
Yes, 100%. I think the big upset of the day is definitely that AV Legacy game. I was 100% predicting like a Legacy 2-1. I think Mimic coming in, everyone's like, damn, like this guy's so good. And then AV are just like 2-0. So I think that's a big surprise, Legacy not being in that top 4. Because that was something very interesting coming into the start of the 2018 season. Their roster on paper, you're like, oh, damn, this team got gutted.
Yep.
Like Tally going to Order, you see Carbon retiring, Lost going to NA. They lost all of their star power.
Yep.
And then they retained it in Claire, who had a pretty underwhelming split, I think, for the most part, but then looking very different this year.
Yeah, certainly is. And against Avant that were revamped, I mean, Pabu up in the top lane would be very impressed by his first games against Mimic. So let's check out next week's games now because they are ready to bring up on your screen. It's going to be Avant taking on Tectonic. Chiefs versus Legacy in OPL Classic Ho. And then it will be the Bombers taking on Sin Gaming. One of those teams must win. And then the Direwolves take Order in what will be a battle for top place. And you feel that if Order win this 2-1 or 2-0, they deserve top spot. But if Direwolves come in, it really never was top spot to begin with for the Order boys.
I'm saying this is the best week of OPL yet. I'm super excited for this one. I think AV versus Tectonic, I think, is the only one I would predict to be a 2-0 next week. Then you have a lot of even matchups. Chiefs versus Legacy, 2 very new rosters on the both sides of that matchup there.
All right, so question for you, right? Chiefs versus Legacy used to be a grudge match. You played in it a lot on both sides.
Is it still a grudge match?
Is it still a grudge match? Or is Order versus Direwolves now more of a grudge match than what Chiefs versus Legacy is?
I mean, potentially. Honestly, I can back it. I think Order coming through, taking a 7th place team and then challenging. They are on top of the ladder right now. Direwolves have won all of their sets, but obviously dropping that game to the Chiefs means they're 1 point below. So I think like it is the biggest thing. And not to mention Direwolves, you have teams Tally coming from Legacy, right? They're like, last season, they're like, oh, damn, like, okay, if we get through the Chiefs, then we can get to the Direwolves. And all of these teams from the bot lane from Sin, FBI and Rogue, Spooks and Swiffer from Chiefs, obviously lost to them in the grand final. So all of these different teams have come in and formed Order. And for all of them, Direwolves was still that top dog. So I think that's honestly the biggest rivalry because they're coming in all grouping together, like forming the mega unit that's going to take down the Direwolves, hopefully, for them.
Yeah, it certainly could be the case. However, Chiefs vs. Legacy is always one you do not want to miss. But they're both next week, guys. That's all the League of Legends we have for you. I'm so sorry, but I would like to thank you for tuning in. On behalf of myself, Bryce, everyone at the Analyst Hangout, the entire production crew, and Hungry Jacks, we'll catch you next week. Comes out perfectly timed. Sleeping is just going to fall down here, and Chippy's 1v1 dominates the European import. There's no creeps left available with Red Buff. He's looking for the 1v1. Flashes forward, gets the kill. That's the ultimate out from Triple. That's the ulti out of Rosie as well. Oh, Lucius. Where is everyone going? This is such a messy team fight. Ulti coming through from King, and that will be Shern picking up a kill. They go into the choke point. Ulti comes across from Seb, but the Rumble isn't there. That will be Rosie getting barred ultimate. Seb's in there as well, and they continue the fight. Chippy's teleports in. Bullet time is huge. Double silence coming out, and before Sleeping can even arrive at the team fight, it's over. Direwolves have wiped them. However, Rosie's been left by himself on the back end of the team fight. They come across. There is a choke there. However, now Seb just has to run away. That spreads some Malefic Vision. Luch is going to go down. This is the best Malefic Visions ever. It's on a 3rd member. Rosie is just getting slowed from it. Nah, not a 4th, but he still will fall down. And they just can do nothing. The Direwolves, the first week back with Shern, put the entirety of the OPL on notice. They take the 2-0 and they say, we are still kings.